What's going on YouTube? Bacon here bringing another video. This one going to be my week 5 match for the MWPA season 7. This week we are taking on, I'm going to butcher this, Gelbel 3C, coach of the Nihilegoats. Very cool logo, by the way. I believe we're both coming into this game. No, I'm coming into this game at 3-1. Gelbel's coming in at 4-0. It's definitely a potential playoff matchup on tap going forward, but very big game here to try and win this one, come out of this 4-1 and be in a decent position to make playoffs in the first place. But very difficult matchup on tap, and let's get right into it. So looking at Gelbel's team, he's got the Goth, Mega Mawile, Pelipper, Excadrill, Kommo-o, Sylveon, Qwilfish, Heliolisk, Alolan Muck, Kingdra, and Decidueye. Just a couple things off the bat. Mega Mawile, while it's generally considered one of the bigger threats on his team, I didn't think was super good versus me in the first place. Like, I do have Arcanine, which is generally one of the best switch-ins to Mega Mawile in the game, barring it carrying like Rock Slide or something. So having Mega Venusaur to some extent is going to help out with that thing. If I brought like a defensive variant of Mew, he's going to need to be carrying Thunder Punch for my Celesteela. So there's like a lot of things that go into his Mega Mawile build this game that I don't think are super favorable for him. Not to say he shouldn't have brought the Mega Mawile, it's still a big threat to deal with. But there's definitely aspects of my team that make it a little bit difficult for Mawile to do what it would normally want to. Gothitelle is one Pokemon that you don't see used correctly too often, but Gelbel's Gothitelle usage has been insanely good this season. It seems like he always knows which set to bring, whether he's bringing Scarf, Calm Mind, whether he's bringing the PP Stall set. Like, he's always bringing the right Gothitelle set for the matchup, and it's a huge threat if used correctly, because Gothitelle, unlike Dugtrio, is capable of trapping both offensive and defensive Pokemon pretty reliably, and it also doesn't care about things that fly. The only thing that I think can get out of Shadow Tag is Ghost types, if I'm not mistaken. So Gothitelle is just a vastly better trapper than Dugtrio if it's used correctly, and his Gothitelle usage has been insanely good this season. So very kind of difficult to prep around that Pokemon. We'll get into that in a second. But very difficult to deal with on that Pokemon. Outside of that, Rain is a big threat to me. Just the Pelipper plus Kingdra combo is all he's really got. I mean, Qwilfish too, but I didn't think Qwilfish was super good here. Kingdra, though, huge threat to my team. I really have no good Kingdra switch-ins on my team. Obviously, Water-type moves boosted by the Rain and like a Choice Specs are going to blow away Celesteela. Dragon-type moves are going to do a ton of damage to Mega Venusaur. Mega Venusaur is really my only kind of check to Kingdra. If I EV it more Spadef, I can actually take 2 Specs Draco Meteors. But other than that, really nothing on my team wants to switch into Kingdra. My Fairy type is a Comfey, so it's going to get blown away by like a rain-boosted Hydro Pump because it's not particularly bulky. So just a very difficult Pokemon for me to deal with in general this matchup. And the fact that my Mega Venusaur is kind of my best answer is difficult for me because, one, his Rain Setter is Pelipper, which means he can pressure me with Hurricane. And 2, the Gothitelle is able to trap my Mega Venusaur, and I can't like just run Shed Shell to get out of that, you know, because it is a Mega Pokemon. So very difficult matchup, like I mentioned on tap, just with the Rain aspect there. Otherwise, the Gothitelle's obviously got me pretty spooked as well. But I didn't feel like his setup sweepers were super good versus me. Things like Kommo-o I didn't think really had a particularly good matchup because I do have the Comfey. Excadrill, he doesn't have Sand for, so really just kind of the main things I was looking at was Rain plus Gothitelle being very problematic for my team to deal with. Other than that, I felt like he could have brought up a number of any of his threats, and I would have been generally pretty well prepared for them. But outside of the with the Rain, it just makes this matchup a lot more difficult. So let's get into my team builder here and what I brought. Leading off here with Dwayne the Terrakion, running Dual Dance Terrakion with Swords Dance Rock Polish, Stone Edge, and Close Combat with Life Orb. We're actually running Adamant Terrakion because we didn't need Speed Creep anything for Jolly, and bringing the Adamant really boosts my damage output here. Life Orb Close Combat is an easy 2-hit KO on things like Mega Mawile, assuming he's already Mega Evolved and doesn't have his Intimidate. Even if he does have the Intimidate, I think he might still die to 2 Close Combats. That's how strong Adamant Life Orb Terrakion is, or would at least be pretty close. Really just puts a ton of pressure in on his team. Plus 2 Stone Edge will pick up the KOs that I need on things like Gothitelle, things like Decidueye, if he happens to be trying to run those to help slow down my Terrakion. Obviously, I'm going to be able to offensively pressure things like the Pelipper with just plain old Life Orb Stone Edge. Plus 2 Life Orb Close Combat, I believe. Adamant Life Orb Close Combat, I believe will KO Kommo-o as well. +2 Life Orb Stone Edge, KOs the Sylveon. Like, you kind of get the idea. I didn't feel like I needed Z in this match. Like, there wasn't one thing that I needed the Z to break through, and the consistent Life Orb damage output I felt like was really worth it in this match. Being able to help secure those 2-hit KOs or those +2 KOs on some of the Pokemon that I just mentioned there. So Tracheon can definitely do it this game. If I get things chipped enough, I could potentially just go for a Rock Polish sweep without going for the Sword Stance. If I do manage to get up both, I'm pretty sure I just win because his priority options are kind of lacking. So if I do manage to get up both, I'm in a really good position. But if I can just get up one or the other, I feel like Tracheon can either break or clean late game in this one for sure. Next up here is Battletoad, the Mega Venusaur. So, like I just mentioned, Mega Venusaur is really the only thing on my team that I can have switch into a Kingdra. I'm running kind of bulky Spadef variant with Calm Nature to, again, check the Kingdra, but I am running a good bit of speed. This will allow me to outspeed a non-speed boosted, so non-timid Gothitelle, which means he can't taunt me before I can do anything back to him. And I'm running Leech Seed, Giga Drain, Sludge Bomb, and Worry Seed this match. So the idea is kind of like, if I happen to get trapped by the Gothitelle, and he's like the PP stall variant, that's going to beat my Mega Venusaur down, like, no problem, because it can taunt me normally, and then just kind of whittle me down out of my PP as it goes for rest and such. So normal kind of Mega Venusaur set would lose to that kind of Gothitelle. I couldn't allow him to trap me here because this is way too important for checking the Kingdra, so I wanted to have enough speed that A, I could outrun it, make sure I can go for Worry Seed before he goes for Taunt. If he is a Taunt set as I go for Worry Seed, I'll obviously get rid of the Shadow Tag, turn it into Insomnia, and be able to switch out. The kind of added benefit of being Worry Seed is that not only will it break me out of Shadow Tag, but it will also give him, prevent him from resting if he is the PP stall set on his Gothitelle, because obviously Insomnia Pokemon can't be put to sleep. Another kind of cool tech option with the Worry Seed is because I do outspeed at least Adamant Mega Mawile, if not Jolly, with all this speed investment. Because I do have the Worry Seed on there, I can get rid of its huge power and severely reduce that thing's damage output. After I've reduced its damage output with Worry Seed, it shouldn't be able to hit KO me. If he starts going for Sword Stance, that might get a little bit sketchy, but like the Sword Stance Mega Mawile is the equivalent of regular Mega Mawile once it's lost its ability. So I felt like Worry Seed was pretty nice tech in this matchup, especially to get me out of those Gothitelle situations. He might just go hard Goth on Venusaur anyways, so if I can catch that with a Worry Seed on the switch in, that'd be really nice. If I catch him with a Leech Seed, I'm in a decent position. Like, I do have Giga Drain on there, I have Sludge Bomb to potentially snag a poison. Like I mentioned, I am faster than a more defensive variant of Gothitelle, so I could Worry Seed it and make sure I can get out of there whenever I need to. But overall, I felt like Mega Venusaur was too important in this match to not bring, and like I mentioned, I did need some way of getting it away from the Gothitelle if need be. Next up here is Celesteela Girl. Celesteela here coming with Shed Shell, Protect, Leech Seed, Heavy Slam, and Earthquake. Pretty standard looking defensive type of Celesteela. Kind of mixed defensive, but mostly oriented towards Spadef. This will help me take on, again, the Kingdra and the Pelipper a little bit better. Also, of course, should take any hit that the Sylveon might want to go for, and should be able to blow that thing away with Heavy Slams. Defensive Celesteela is just pretty good in this matchup. Earthquake is going to be able to do some good damage to the Mega Mawile. I do have a tiny bit of speed in here, I think just so I didn't get speed crept on the reverse end by something like the Sylveon. Make sure I be able to outspeed that before it goes for Wishes or anything. Also a decent check to things like the Alolan Muck. Obviously I don't want to lose my Shed Shell because then the Gothitelle could potentially trap me. This is another thing that's kind of PP stall fodder for the Gothitelle, so that's why I was really scared of that set this match, because it could trap Celesteela, it could trap Mega Venusaur, and render them completely useless. You can already see kind of how much prep this Gothitelle is forcing me to make with the Shed Shell on Celesteela and Worry Seed and speed on my Mega Venusaur. Yeah, Steela here I felt like was kind of important just because he does have the Excadrill, he does have the Sylveon, can take some hits from Mega Mawile. If he's not carrying Thunder Punch, I can take a bunch of hits from Mega Mawile, but I kind of anticipate him to be doing so. Just kind of a decent, general blanket check versus team. Next here is Arcanine, and I was back and forth on Arcanine sets because obviously a defensive set will take on the Mega Mawile all day, but Morning Sun's going to get nerfed in the rain, so I didn't really like that idea, so instead I opted to go for a more offensive variant of Arcanine. I am still running Intimidate because there's not anything on his team that I really felt I needed Flash Fire for, but Life Orb, Intimidate, Arcanine here with Wild Charge, Flare Blitz, Will-O-Wisp, and Extreme Speed. Will-O-Wisp is a nice way for me to dodge a Sucker Punch from Mega Mawile if he's like SD with Sucker Punch later in the game. Get a burn off on that thing, get a burn off on something like Kommo-o, which otherwise more or less walls this set. At least I will know I outspeed the Kommo-o at neutral. Be able to go for a Will-O-Wisp and neuter him if he's a potential DD variant. Obviously I have the Comfey in the back, which you're about to see, to help deal with the Kommo-o, but I felt like Arcanine being completely walled out by it would be a bad idea. Doesn't have great switch-ins to Life Orb Flare Blitz. Like, obviously the Pelipper can take it pretty well, but Wild Charge is going to nuke that thing. Wild Charge will 2-hit KO the Kingdra, so Wild Charge into E-Speed will 2-hit KO the Kingdra, I believe. Just because I am Life Orb here, so Arcanine I think had a really good matchup this game. I'm just now realizing that I forgot to nickname it at the time of the game, which is always a huge L. But I felt like Arcanine just had a decent offensive matchup in this one, and I could potentially break something like the Sylveon with 2 Flare Blitzes, assuming Rain's not up, and really just put a lot of pressure on his team that he really doesn't want to deal with. Wild Charge, he obviously has to scout for it with his Pelipper, in case he doesn't want to lose that. He really doesn't have great switch-ins to Electric-type moves in the first place. Like, does he have a ground type? What's his ground type? Excadrill is the ground type, so obviously that's not going to want to get burned. It's not going to want to take a fire type move, so it's very difficult for him to switch in on a potential Wild Charge coming out from my Arcanine. And the E-Speed is just nice to pick off something like the Kingdra that's weakened later in the game, because my Comfey obviously is not going to knock it out from full. So that's the idea with the Arcanine there. Next up here is Thick the Mamoswine, running Life Orb Mamoswine with Earthquake, Icicle Crash, Ice Shard, and Freeze Dry. Running what's that, Naive Max Attack? Naughty Max Attack? Whatever the attack boosting one, yeah, Naughty Max Attack. Attack boosted, Spadef minus. The idea from this is obviously to freeze dry the Pelipper. If I can get rid of his Rain, that really neutralizes the Kingdra as a potential threat. And even if he elects to go like hard Kingdra, predicting me to go for, I don't know, Ice Shard or something, freeze dry is obviously going to nuke that thing on the switch in as well. So basically the idea is you can't just like sit in with Pelipper on me and take hits all day. Freeze Dry is going to do a ton of damage. I believe it KOs after Stealth Rocks, if I'm not mistaken. Or not Stealth Rocks, I don't have Stealth Rocks on this team. After 2 turns of Leech Seed Chip from either my Mega Venusaur or my Celesteela. So that's pretty nice there from the Mamoswine. Otherwise, Earthquake, Icicle Crash, Ice Shard is kind of important in this match. Ice Shard again to pick off something like the Kingdra. Earthquake's obviously going to pressure the Sylveon, but I will be able to 2-hit KO that thing with the attack boosted Life Orb Earthquake, and obviously blow away the Mega Mawile with it. So Mamoswine, again, kind of nice offensive breaker versus team, really able to put a lot of pressure on him if I can get it in the right situations. He doesn't have a ton of speed on his team either, which is kind of nice for Mamoswine. So it should be able to put in some good work in this game. Ice Shard can also help me pick off a weakened Kommo-o if like my Comfey goes down or whatever at some point in the game. I at least have something in the back to help deal with that. Lastly here we have Lilo the Comfey, running Pixie Plate Comfey with Triage, Draining Kiss, HP Ground, Calm Mind, and Taunt. Taunt plus Calm Mind should allow me to beat the Gothitelle 1v1. With not too much issue. I taunt it first and then I start Calm Minding in its face. I'll be able to get a bunch of HP back by going for Draining Kiss. HP Ground is there specifically to hit the Mega Mawile, as well as do a tiny bit more damage to the Alolan if I happen to need to do that later in the game. Alolan is a very good switch into Comfey in general, but if it gets chipped down over the course of the match, coming in on Leech Seeds or what have you, if he's not running like a Gluttony set with the Berry, Comfey could potentially clean late game if I get enough chip off on that in the Mawile. I had originally had Life Orb on this Comfey set, but it hurt my ability to 1v1 the Gothitelle if he was running Psyshock over Psychic. So I wanted to switch to Pixie Plate just because I wouldn't whittle myself down as much from the Life Orb recoil, and I'd still be doing roughly equivalent damage with Draining Kiss, which is really the main thing I needed in this game, doing good damage to Kingdra, being able to OHKO the Kommo-o from full unless he's running a ton of bulk, and able to kind of pick off some of his faster threats that way. So that's the Comfey set here. I felt like definitely a potential win con in this game with the Comfey if I could set it up right. Again, I need some chip damage on the Muck and or Mega Mawile, depending on which or both he decide to bring. But yeah, that's the Comfey set for this match, and that's the team for this match. So let's get right into it here. Looking at what he decided to bring, he's got the Gothitelle, Sylveon, Pelipper, Kingdra, Mega Mawile, and the Decidueye. So mostly what I was fearing with the Gothitelle plus Rain. Really, if he's just looking to trap Mega Venusaur, Kingdra goes in versus my team. Just clicking the water type move. Really don't have great water resist outside of the Venusaur. So definitely hugely problematic for me to deal with. Looking at lead matchup here, I just want to lead with my Mamoswine. It'll pressure the Sylveon or Gothitelle really nicely if he happened to lead with those. Really did not anticipate him to lead with the Kingdra because Rain wouldn't be up in that instance. And otherwise, Mamoswine has a really nice lead matchup. I can freeze dry the Pelipper, I can pressure the Decidueye with an Ice type move, and pressure the Mawile with Earthquake. So really felt like Mamoswine put the most pressure on his team right off the bat. So that's what I'm going to lead with here, as he elects to just lead with the Pelipper. Like I mentioned, Freeze Dry is right here for this Pelipper. If I can get rid of this thing early in the game, that'll be huge, huge, huge as far as limiting the Kingdra switch-ins later in the match. So I'm just going to go right for it, go right for the Freeze Dry. I don't know if he'd scout for it, but he actually just goes for U-turn and reveals that he's Choice Scarf Pelipper. So very unfortunate that we weren't able to trap the Pelipper here, but he is Choice Scarf Pelipper. That is confirmed based on that turn. As we go for the Freeze Dry here and do essentially nothing to this Sylveon. Sylveon, though, still isn't like a huge problem for me. I don't mind being able to kind of break this thing for something like my Terrakion. It just makes its time a lot easier without having to go for SD later in the match. So if I'm able to break this thing, I might as well. So I'm going to go for the Earthquake here, do some big damage to this Sylveon, but he makes a really nice play. It just goes straight for the Wish, not wanting to risk anything right off the bat, going straight for the Wish, and that means, of course, that he can just protect the following turn, get his health back, and I kind of lose some momentum out if I stay in and go for Earthquake. So what I'm going to elect to do is predict the Protect, go out into my Mega Venusaur here, and just get my Mega off. Getting the Mega off is going to be really important for helping me deal with the Kingdra. And I can kind of pressure his team pretty well with the Venusaur here. He doesn't have great switch-ins to Venusaur, because if he goes like hard Gothitelle, I could potentially poison him with Sludge Bomb or something like that. Kind of predicting the Gothitelle or the Decidueye to want to come out. I'm going to go straight for the Sludge Bomb here. In retrospect, I really didn't lose a whole lot by going right for the Leech Seed, so definitely a misplay on my part, not going for the Leech Seed here as the Mawile comes out. Kind of unfortunate that I'm not able to get any chip damage off on this thing for my Comfey, but I really didn't want the Gothitelle to come in hard on me and be like the Rest Talk PP kind of set. So anyways, Mawile's going to be in here, and I can just go right for my Worry Seed on this thing and kind of make sure it's not a threat to me. I don't want to go hard Celesteela or anything like that, just because he could potentially go for Thunder Punch, like SD into Thunder Punch versus me. So I felt like it was better to just go for the Worry Seed and see what he wanted to do. He actually goes for Stealth Rock here, which is pretty problematic actually for my Arcanine because I didn't bring removal in this match. But you know, just gonna have to deal with it. Gonna go for Leech Seed this following turn. Again, I can beat this Mawile 1v1 now that I've neutralized its ability. And the Pelipper comes back out. Now that I know he's locked into Choice Scarf, and he knows that I know he's locked into Choice Scarf, I don't anticipate him to go for Hurricane here. I think he should go for U-turn, predicting the Celesteela to come in. So I'm going to just stay in here with my Mega Venusaur, and just, I think I clicked Giga Drain this turn, just because I didn't want to go for Leech Seed if he happened to pivot into Decidueye. Giga Drain was kind of my best overall play to get chip on something. So Giga Drain comes off as the Mawile comes in, does a tiny little bit, but not too much to it. And I can just go right for the Worry Seed once again. This Mawile's not a threat to my Venusaur, really, once I get rid of its ability, and I know I am faster based on the earlier turn. So I'm going to go right for the Worry Seed here as the Gothitelle comes out. That is fine by me because it does allow me to escape as needed. And I think he's going to overpredict again here a little bit and expect me to get my Venusaur out of here, fearing a Psychic-type move. I believe he's going to double out again as I go for a Leech Seed here. Yep. I'm going to go... Or did I just go for Giga Drain this turn? I can't remember. Went for Leech Seed here on the Kingdra coming out. Totally fine by me. This is my Kingdra check anyways, already on the field. So Leech Seed is pretty nice there coming off. Getting a little bit of chip. A few more turns of that and he'll actually be in range of my Comfey, which is nice. But Venusaur doing a little bit of a sit on his team here. He's having some difficulty pivoting around it because he has to get it in on a turn where I'm not going for Worry Seed, because then I can escape from the Gothitelle. Worry Seed's obviously going to neutralize the Mawile. Like, it's really causing some matchup problems for his team, which is exactly what I designed it to do. I am going to switch it out here on the Decidueye, however, just fearing him to potentially be an offensive variant with like the Z move. I really didn't want to take too much damage on my Venusaur that it wouldn't be able to check the Kingdra later in the match. So I switch out into Arcanine here, figuring it's kind of the most useless member, and I can get a pretty strong hit off here with a Flare Blitz. I don't think he'd risk his Pelipper here on a potential Wild Charge, so I'm just going to go straight for the Flare Blitz here and get some huge damage off. That burn doesn't really matter against the Sylveon, because as you can see, that's a pretty clean 2-hit KO anyways. But getting the burn off is always nice, I guess, to potentially force him to heal Bell or neutralize his leftovers recovery. Again, Flare Blitz is pretty free here. If he goes out into Pelipper, he's risking me going for Wild Charge, which I don't think he'd do. So I'm just going to go for the double down here with Arcanine and be able to break through that Sylveon. That's pretty nice for my Terrakion in the back. It means that I can just kind of spam Stone Edge in close combat versus team without having to worry about going for an SD, which is pretty cool. I do still need a Rock Polish, though, if I'm going to outspeed the Kingdra in Rain. So that's something to note, but Terrakion's definitely a little bit more freed up now that I've broken the Sylveon. I'm going to go out into Celesteela here, anticipating him to want to bring his Pelipper in just because I know it's Scarf Pelipper, so I can check what he's going to lock himself into. He likes to lock himself into Scald here, which obviously I don't want to risk my Celesteela getting burned and taking a good chunk of damage from a Scald here. So what I'm actually going to elect to do is go out into my Venusaur on this turn, I believe, as he brings out the Decidueye. Is that what I did? Oh no, I went for Leech Seed. Sorry guys, again, long time since I played these matches, I'm pretty far behind, but I went for Leech Seed that turn. Maybe Heavy Slam was a better play if I was predicting him to switch out, but not such a big deal that the Decidueye comes out. It doesn't really threaten my Celesteela in the first place, so I'm going to throw off a Heavy Slam against it just to get some good chip damage. Again, keeping things in range of my Terrakion's always good. I'm going to go for Heavy Slam here, get some good chip damage off on the Kingdra. I believe it's in range of Pixie Plate boosted Draining Kiss at this point. Not quite certain on that. Certainly in range of +1 Pixie Plate Draining Kiss, so going to go for Protect here, predicting Choice Specs Kingdra. Like, Choice Specs is too good versus my team to not bring, I feel. So I wanted to see what he was going to lock himself into. He goes for the Surf there, and because I got him last time with the Choice Locked Pelipper, I think he would stay in and just go for another Surf here as I go out into my Mega Venusaur. So I'm able to get that thing in again for pretty free here and eat up that Surf damage. It still does a good chunk, definitely Specs damage off the Kingdra. But at least I was able to kind of pivot around and keep my Celesteela healthy to help deal with something like the Decidueye or the Mawile. And I'm just going to go for Leech Seed this turn, I believe, on the Gothitelle coming in. That's like good and bad for me, because I didn't go for Worry Seed this turn. It means that I can't get out against this Gothitelle, which kind of sucks, but because I do have the Leech Seed off, I can kind of just go for Giga Drain and not exactly stall it out, because it is going to do a good chunk to me with Psyshock, as you see here. It looks like he's actually attack invested on this thing. I believe that corresponded to Max Attack Timid, if I'm not mistaken. Why did I go for Worry Seed this turn? I probably should have gone for Giga Drain in retrospect. That was another kind of small misplay there. I probably should have gone for Giga Drain there because it would have kept me out of range of the 2-hit KO of Psyshock. But again, I was still fearing that it was going to be a PP stall variant of the Gothitelle, and I didn't want to get trapped in there and taunted at the same time. That seemed like a really bad look to me. So anyways, gonna go for Giga Drain here as the Pelipper comes back in, get some pretty good damage off on that as well. And here I'm just going to sack off my Venusaur. That was something of a 50-50, because again, there's still the issue of like if I go Celesteela or if I stay in. This time he got me on staying in. He's able to knock me out with the Hurricane. I wasn't really at a range of HP where I was a reliable check to the Kingdra anymore anyways, so I'm not too broken up about that. Here I got into Comfey, and I just go for the +1, kind of forgetting that I had taken Life Orb off. +1 Life Orb HP Ground should be able to knock out Mawile from this range, I think, if he's not like super bulky. But because I forgot that I was no longer Life Orb, I went for Calm Mind here as the Mawile comes out and realized that I actually couldn't knock him out from the range he's at. So wasted turn there, unfortunately, on where I probably should have just gone Celesteela, knowing that he was locked into Hurricane. Wasted turn there, unfortunately, as I'm going to have to go out into Celesteela on the Iron Head. This isn't because I don't think he's carrying Thunder Punch, like I'm pretty sure he is. But I do need to get some chip damage off on this Mawile if Comfey is going to win this game. So what I'm going to do is go for Earthquake here, just because I did have a tiny bit of speed investment. I thought, if anything, he might like creep no speed Celesteela, and I had like 16 speed EVs or something. Don't know if that ended up coming in clutch there, but at the very least I did outspeed the Mawile, able to get a good chunk of damage off with Earthquake, and potentially put him in range of my Comfey later in the game. So get some good chip damage there. He is definitely in range of +1 HP ground, even though I don't have the Life Orb, so if I can get another Calm Mind up at some point in this game, I think I can just clean with Comfey at this point. So Mamoswine's going to come out here to revenge the Mawile, no problem. Go for Earthquake here because I don't care about the Pelipper coming in. Pelipper should be in range of Ice Shard at this point because he is a more offensive Choice Scarf variant. So I'm going to go for Earthquake there, not really caring about what he wants to do. Able to waste a Rain turn for 1, and 2, Ice Shard, like I mentioned, will pick off this Pelipper. Here's another small mistake. I know they're really adding up at this point. Another small mistake here. I actually do go for Ice Shard on the Pelipper because I'm thinking, oh, you know, KO the Pelipper, great for me. But what I really should have done there was allowed the Pelipper to knock me out and then use that as my opportunity to Calm Mind up with Comfey and just kind of clean his team from there. I'm pretty sure at this point, because it looks like It's not a super offensive variant of Decidueye or anything. At this point, I'm pretty sure that Comfey could have cleaned this game if I had just allowed it to come in here, calm mind up, and start cleaning his team with Draining Kiss plus HP Ground. Again, kind of a misplay there on my end, but it's kind of hard when you're sitting there like, oh, I have a chance to knock out this Pokemon. He'll have no more rain for his Kingdra after this. Like, all that kind of put together seemed like a really nice package for me to knock out the Pelipper, but in retrospect, that was definitely not the right play. I should have allowed my Comfey to get up that Calm Mind and started to break through his team. Unfortunately, I do knock out the Pelipper there, and that's going to allow the Kingdra a free switch in, which means it's picking up a KO with Surf. There's nothing I can do to stop that at this point. Might as well just pick up some chip on the Kingdra with Ice Shard, make sure he's in range of my Comfey's Draining Kiss, and be able to knock that thing out afterwards. He really doesn't have any switch-ins for Draining Kiss at this point anyways, so he's going to go for the Surf there and knock out my Mamoswine. And things are looking at this point. Like, I can't live a Choice Spec Surf after Stealth Rocks in rain, unfortunately, so I can't just Calm Mind in his face. I do have to go straight for the Draining Kiss on the Comfey, with the Comfey, which is fine by me, because like, I need to get health back anyways, since I'm a little bit chipped down from the couple rock switch-ins. But what it does do is open up the door for him to bring his Mega Mawile back in, and again, I'm going to regret not having the Life Orb on it, because he is out of range of a neutral HP Ground. If I had Life Orb on Comfey, if I had Leech Seeded earlier with Venusaur, like, all these things started to come into play and kind of just snowballed over the course of the match, and I'm not able to knock out this Mawile from the range it's at, which means I'm just going to have to sack my Comfey off and try to win with Terrakion. If he's not running Choice Scarf Decidueye or Gothitelle, I can potentially win with like Crit Stone Edges and such, like if he's a more defensive variant of Decidueye. I know he's an offensive variant of Gothitelle, so I don't think he actually lives Adamant Life Orb Stone Edge with it, because I know he's offensive. So it's really just a matter of whether I think that Decidueye is going to live a Stone Edge, which it's not like I can SD here, so I kind of have to go for a move to knock out the Mawile. I like to go for close combat. Maybe a tiny misplay there as opposed to going for Stone Edge, just because now I'm in range of kind of anything he wants to go for. And I really just was not anticipating what he's about to bring out here, which is Scarf Gothitelle. So he had already revealed the Scarf Pelipper. He had the Rain with Kingdra for speed control. I was not anticipating the Scarf Gothitelle here, and it's able to catch me and knock out my Terrakion. Very good game to Gelbel here. He just brought some stuff I didn't really expect, like Scarf Pelipper, Scarf Gothitelle were two things I really was not anticipating in this matchup. Thinking like a typical Damp Rock Pelipper defensive, plus the PP stall variant of Gothitelle to trap my Celesteela and Mega Venu. And he just kind of subverted my expectations there and brought a really nice team, played really well, and he's able to pick up the 2-0 victory over us. Unfortunately, that makes us leaves us sitting here at 3-2 in a situation where I feel like I could very realistically be 5-0 right now. Like the game versus Celica, you guys have seen that one. Definitely could have been a win there. And here, just like a couple little things that I let snowball over the course of the match. Not getting Leech Seed chip off on Mega Mawile, running Pixie Plate over Life Orb on my Comfey, picking off the Pelipper when I should have just allowed it to knock out my Mamoswine. Like, all those little things, little misplays over the course of the match or little prep errors, ended up really costing me this match. And that's what's essentially going to happen as you start to face better players. Like, now that I've been promoted to Venus, there's a lot of really good players here. And I can't really afford those little mistakes, is what I'm learning basically over the course of these matches. So hopefully going forward we can correct some of those and kind of recalibrate for the rest of the season. Definitely going to be tight for a playoff race at this point. 3-2 is not bad by any means, and you can definitely, I think 6 wins will definitely get in if I can win out from here. But definitely not really a whole lot of room for error going forward as a result of losing these 2 games earlier in the season. So again, very good game to Gelbel. Played really well, brought a really cool team. But, you know, unfortunate for us that we're sitting here at 3-2. Hopefully we can do better going forward. Thank you guys very much for watching to this point if you did. Hope you stick around for some other videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.